saying that, come and join it. And that kind of fitted in. I had these businesses, I could help somebody out and do a little bit of part-time. And that seemed to work for me. Very quickly, they offered me partnership, and then it turned into more than a full-time job. Became a partner and grew and had equity in the company, in the partnership, and was there for the best part of 10 years. And then I just I sort of got to the point where I sort of had the itch to scratch, I think, and wanted to do something different again. And there was a number of reasons for that, and I don't need to go into most of them. But the one that I most generally say to people was health. So 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with something that's called Meniere's disease, which is a problem with the inner ear, and that kind of, at the time, and my workplace was really good at the time with it. But at the time, it was really debilitating. I'm now doing all right with it and manageable, and I might have, one or 2 days a month where I kind of don't feel like I'm up for doing much. But at the time of handing my notice in, that was the real main driver for me. It was like, do you know what, actually, things have got to change here. I've got to stop working, sort of 70-hour weeks and being out, nights, working all day, early mornings, working evenings, being out at night, doing this, that, and then doing weekends and things like that. Something's got to change. So that was one driver. And another driver was this, and I had one of the jobs that I do for clients is when they're exiting businesses. So they're leaving, and they have what's called a settlement agreement. And I was acting for a lady who was in her sort of early 50s, or mid 50s maybe, working for a big high street retailer who remains anonymous at this point.
Okay.
But my experience with that high street retailer is that they don't particularly get on with women of a certain age. They seem to get rid of a lot of them. Okay. They get to director level and they no longer fit the face. So anyway, this was, and I say that because I've done a few for women of a certain age at that company. And so I spoke to this lady, and usually director level people, when I sit down with them and ask them this question, I say, so what's next? You've got what have you got lined up? And usually they would say something like, oh, I've got a job interview, I've got, something on the table, or I'm on a second round already, or whatever. And they've already got something lined up because they know people, they've got that reputation, they've been around and they know where they're going. And this lady turned around and said, well, actually, I'm just going to spend a little bit of time and get to know my children, because, since I had them, they went straight into nursery, and I haven't really spent the right kind of time with them, put the career first. And that really kind of hit me in the heart. And that time, my son might have been born. My son's 5. He might have been born, or he might not. But it was that kind of, early years. And I'd always tried to do, the parent stuff with the kids. But, it's difficult when you're working. You've got 50 staff to manage, 5 offices. You've got to be present. You've got to, do this, that, and the other. So I would always try, but it's difficult when you're employed. Let's put it that way. And so that was another motivating factor for me to go, okay, let's do something different. So I handed my notice in, not knowing what I was going to do. I was just brave, right? So I just went, look, something's got to change, and it won't change until I hand my notice in. So I had my notice in. I had a 6-month notice period. So I had my notice in, and obviously law firms, as you do, most of the time someone's moving to a competitor or something like that. So the questions were like, where are you going? What are you doing? And I'm going, I don't know, no idea. Something will come up. I'll work something out. And at that point of handing my notice in, I genuinely thought I'd probably do some non-law stuff again, go back to what I did before. And then I started looking into it, and it's getting closer to the kind of the 6-month period, which is going to be January 2020. Thinking, well, I'm going to need to do something, because I have quite a high requirement for income to fulfill. So I've got to do something. So then I started looking and going, well, maybe I'll have a look at some of these consultancy model stuff. What I did know is I didn't have any clients, because I was precluded from taking any clients. So I had no work, but obviously been around a little bit, had a bit of a reputation. And so I looked at these and I thought, well, okay, let's go with these consultancy models just for a little bit. And the truth of it is the model, the financial model. I looked at it and went, well, to earn the same money that I was on as a partner in a law firm, partners in law firms outside of London don't get paid that much, Becky. Just, for your listeners and viewers, you're not £1 million a year, right? So a law firm partner, and I thought, to replicate that kind of money, what do I need to earn on a daily basis? And I saw something on Instagram, some American motivational nonsense, but it basically said, if you earn $284 a day, you'll do 6 figures in a year. And the maths work out, by the way, but it includes weekends. And I thought, well, as a lawyer charging 285 quid an hour, surely I can get 1 hour's work a day. And then surely, like, I don't need to do the 6 figures, but I actually, I can earn then a decent amount of money. And I'm only doing 1 hour a day. And so I built a business around kind of going, how can I do 1 hour a day? That was my starting point. Now, the good news is I'm doing more than 1 hour a day. The bad news is I'm doing more than 1 hour a day. But you're trying to sort of manage that in between. So that was it. So then I went, okay, well, I know how to start businesses. I know how to run businesses. So where do I need to start? And for me, the starting point was build a website. And Becky, I don't know if you know this or not. Have we talked about this before? I think we probably have. But my first ever website predates Google. The one that I actually built myself predates Google. Now that sort of ages me dramatically. I appreciate that. And there'll be some people listening going, predates Google. I think Google's been around forever. No, when even Ask Jeeves was just new on the scene, I was building websites. Sort of end of GCSEs, beginning of A levels, sorry, and going into university. I had a side business that was already at that point building websites for people that didn't know that they needed websites. And just as the internet started hitting home, and I wasn't that good at it, but it was unique at that point. So I had some knowledge of building websites and that kind of thing, and it's always been something that I've been interested in. So coming sort of to the present day, as it were, or three and a half years ago, I knew that I needed to get a website done and build that. So what I did is I looked at racked my brain of the kind of all of the types of work that I'd done over the last few years, and built a website, put all this information in, put loads of content in. I know that Google likes content, put this all in, and then sort of launched it. My firm got upset because I launched it too early, and they went, hang on a minute, you've got this new website, you can't do that. So I had to pull it back down again until I actually went live in January, and launched it in January. And since then, I've genuinely not looked back, because the website has been pretty much my number one source of work leads, and it regularly and consistently generates more than enough work for me, and it's now generating work for several other colleagues of mine. And I think that's that the sort of the nub of it from people. I've spoken to a number of people that kind of go, I'm not sure about becoming a consultant solicitor, because usually you can't take clients, or you can only take a couple of clients, and where's the work going to come from? And I need to be earning $3,000 a month as a minimum, or it might be 5 or 10 grand a month, depending on what the lawyer is, but I need to be earning X amount a month as a minimum, and I'm worried, where's that work going to come from? And I just firmly believe that websites and social media mixed together, and that whole sort of modern marketing is the way forward for consultants.
Yes, amazing. Oh, I feel like I've got a bit of an echo there. Have I? Echo? Maybe not. So you're obviously well versed in terms of social media and digital marketing and predating Google and all of that stuff. But I think you might be quite unusual in that respect as a lawyer. Many lawyers I come across are quite unsure about content marketing as a whole, or what they need to do. Would you say you're a bit of a unicorn in your space?
Yeah, I'd say look, I've obviously I've got, you know, I'm a geek, right? So I spent half my, you know, childhood, well, from the age of sort of 14, 15 on the internet, and you know, learning how it works, and learning how to build websites, and then starting to code websites. And so like my background, so I had I sort of a cooperation, but I worked on the first legal MP3 download website. Now, so for some people, they might not have even heard of MP3 downloads, but that was before iTunes and Spotify. Spotify was previously like for illegal downloads, and you know, so you had, you know, all these illegal downloading music networks, and then I created the first legal one, which people would go on and buy songs for. I had the first. I coded myself the first price comparison sites were around, but I coded one specifically for searching for the prices of CDs, albums. So you could go on there and find where the cheapest shop was online, and so yeah, I've got a bit of understanding about how it works. Marketing is just something that I've learned over the years. So, you know, people kind of would say to me, "Oh, you've got an idea about marketing." No, I've not. I've got no real understanding about actual marketing. I've got no formal training or knowledge about it. I just seem to know what's worked and what's not over my career, and yeah, and that's and sort of that's that. So am I unique? I think. I think maybe my background is, but that doesn't mean that it's not replicable by other people, because although I can maybe do some stuff myself, actually I would always suggest to anybody that was looking at it, particularly as consultant solicitors, to consider outsourcing that work anyway, because it's so vital and will generate the work. There's always that, you know, thing with lawyers of going, okay, well, yeah, you can go and build a website. Yeah, you could go and, you know, manage this and go and set up a Wix or a website, or maybe even a WordPress type website, and get a theme and start writing some content yourself. But I can almost guarantee that you won't do a good job. It will do an okay job and it will look okay, but it won't generate the results that you actually need, you actually want, until you get some professionals on board, and that you have a website that then works well, that is written in a way which is SEO efficient. SEO being for the viewers, search engine optimization, that it's coming up in Google and it's ranking just because of how it's built, the speed of it, and things like that. And then the content, the bit that you come into, Becky, is actually written not by lawyers. And trust me, I've had plenty of lawyers try to write content, because that's what I used to do at my old place. Come on, write me something. Oh, you had a really good job this week. You know, write an article for it, and they can't write for toffee. They're brilliant at being lawyers, but cannot write a blog piece, because it's just a different tone, it's a different style. And then when you're trying to incorporate that, the sort of the SEO knowledge of it as well, it becomes very difficult. It's a different challenge altogether for a consultant solicitor. So consultants can do it themselves, like you can do anything yourself. You can DIY. I can go and DIY my car service. I can paint my room, and I can do some, you know, do pretty much everything apart from brain surgery myself. I think you can do legal documents yourself, but is that a sensible idea? Is that a good use of your time, and will it actually generate the best results? I would say probably not, in my experience. And my experience obviously is with people like you. You know, I've had a couple of other copywriters involved in helping me write my website and write content for that, or for a couple of websites that I've got. And then obviously I've got you writing regularly content on it, and the stats just demonstrate that it really works.
That's it. I think lawyers are absolutely fantastic at writing, but perhaps what might be common is writing for other lawyers. I think that's a practice that's quite common. And in terms of SEO and in terms of actually reaching your ideal target audience, you need to be writing to them. You don't want to be writing for other lawyers because that's not going to get you anywhere. So what we do when we work together is really think about, okay, what do your clients need from you? Do they need to feel reassured? What do they need in order to get in contact with you? And 9 times out of 10, it will be that you're answering the questions that they've already got in their head already. And then it's that case of, oh, okay, so this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. And you've got that element of trust and confidence in that. Is that what happens with your website, Stephen, when you have people get in touch with you?
Absolutely, yeah. So obviously, as part of any kind of marketing strategy, you've always got to ask clients, why they've called, where did they get your number from, and then if they instruct or don't instruct as well, I always try and get feedback and ask them why. And generally, the people that come through the website, I would say a big percentage. So I'm talking, sort of maybe 80-90%. Pretty much have already made their mind up that they want to use me as their lawyer because of the words on the page. They've already read that, and maybe they've read the reviews as well, but they've looked on the website and they go, yeah, you sound like the kind of person that I want to help, want to get on board. And that means that the writing is aimed at that specific type of client. Because I'm sure equally that there's a number of people that would visit the website and go, oh no, I don't like the sound. This person doesn't sound quite right for me, or I want somebody with nice glass-fronted offices and with a London address or whatever. There's a type of person that it probably doesn't suit, but the people that it does suit, it works really well because they're reading it and it's convinced them already that I'm the right person for the job. And then they ring and speak to me. I demonstrate immediately that I'm the right person for the job, in that I'm knowledgeable, I know how to sort their problem out, and I was a normal human being that you could talk to, and it wasn't too traumatic for them. And then they go, okay, yeah, well, let's do some business together. And I think that combination has to work. The flip side of that, of course, is it needs to be authentic, and I know that's a kind of a little bit of a buzzword that some people don't like. But it needs to reflect you as an individual, I think, because if you've got, I've got some lawyers, for instance, that if a client was reading my website and then they got through to one of my colleagues, they would have quite a different experience. They'd be like, it didn't match. Sorry, there was a mismatch between the even just the tone, the voice of the website and an individual. So I think it's important that you've got to present yourself authentically, to properly who you are as an individual, and aim it at your type of clients. So I think that's really important. And again, that's the voice of the voice that a copywriter would use compared to a lawyer, because lawyers are, you'll have done audits of law firm websites and they're still very much like, we were established in 1827 and have been helping people for hundreds of years. Well done, you.
Oh, don't get me started on those websites and the navy blue. Like, people, there are other colours,
Yeah, true.
I mean, we know this because you embrace the orange, Stephen, which is a very unheard of colour in the legal industry, but it makes you stand out. Absolutely. So that's the important thing, isn't it?
That's it, yeah. So I've gone a bit of both using colour theory. So I've got blue bits on the logo, and the main logo is blue, and then I use orange as a highlight in most places, and mostly because it's my favourite colour. But it's my favourite colour because if you do any colour theory, it's all about fun and stuff like that. And I'm not fun at all. I'm really boring. But having the colour orange just gives me the appearance of being fun. So I'll take that.
You're not really boring, but I literally just walked into that, didn't I?
I am, but yeah.
Is there, talking of content on your site, is there anything that you feel like's resonating with the audience, specifically at the moment? Is there any trends that you're kind of seeing clients get in touch with you for?
Well, do you know what? So we've had some really good successes with some of the articles that you've done, the blogs that you've done for me, and you can see that it generates results, and actually it helps to, when you see that in action as a consultant, maybe without the knowledge that I've got, and the first time you'd see it, you'd start to realize how important blogging is, if I can call it blogging in sort of inverted commas, writing content for the website. So we did that. We did a piece about can I sell a business with a bounce back loan. And that was stemmed from because I had a couple of inquiries and done a couple of transactions where there was a bounce back loan, and people are a little bit unsure about what needs to happen with it. And there's a few different options. Sometimes the bounce back loan is repaid on completion so that it gets out of the business. Sometimes it stays in the business and the business is transferred out of the company so that the director, the company still has responsibility for this loan. So there's a few different options. So we wrote this article about it, and I think it still is ranking first page on Google, and it still delivers very regularly inquiries about it. Now, truthfully, because I'm a man of honesty, truthfully, it generated that particular article has not necessarily generated the amount of cash that I would like, and the reason for that is because most people that are looking at that article, they took out a bounce back loan because they didn't have any money, and now the business is failing rather than the business is booming and succeeding. So those people, most of the people that I've had from looking at that and talking about bounce back loans are ones that didn't necessarily proceed with fee paying advice because they're actually in a bit of a pickle. So refer them to insolvency practitioner or somebody like that. But there's still been a couple there where it's led to some work, and therefore it kind of pays for it. But what it does demonstrate is that there's you answer the question that people are asking, answer that question, and then people will see your blog, read it, and go, this person knows what they're talking about. I need to speak to them and instruct them.
Yes. But it's also that old know, like, and trust thing as well. If you keep putting out solid information that answers your clients' questions, maybe they don't need you right now. Maybe they're in too much of a pickle to be able to afford you right now. But somewhere down the line, somebody that they might know might be in that situation, and their little brain might kick in and go, oh, hang on a minute. I'm sure I've seen this guy online. I think it's that tall lawyer. Maybe I should give him a call.
Yeah. And I think for me, that's that kind of side of things is more where my social media work comes into play. So, and I think that the two overlap, in terms of lead generation. So, the website, which is, people just searching online and looking for, a business lawyer or, a solicitor to help sell a business or whatever, and putting in those keywords and what we've been doing over the last however long it has been working together is making sure that we've got just loads of content about asking all these different questions about these, the target clients. But the know, like, and trust bit, yes, it generates on the website, but for me that is really solidified on the social media side of things, where people can actually start to see me as a person, hopefully, get to know me a little bit more. My social media, I very rarely talk about what I do legal wise and sort of the day in day out job of it, because honestly it's as boring as anything. But I'll post about whatever I want, and unashamedly post about anything. I literally don't care about the rules of LinkedIn, and it gets engagement. I was just looking this morning, and actually fact at my engagement stats on LinkedIn, and it just increases. It constantly increases, but it's basically like selling out De Montfort Hall in Leicester, right, which is a venue where all of the pop stars go or whatever, and performances are on. Selling out De Montfort Hall each and every week for the whole year. And it's like, and so how many people are in there are listening to me and hearing me and seeing me constantly every single week? And you can't, I couldn't do that. I couldn't otherwise fill an arena like De Montfort Hall. I couldn't do that. But social media and the extent and the reach of various engagements and things like that puts me in a place where half of the counties that surround me in the Midlands are in numbers terms equivalent, are seeing me on a very regular basis, and it works. And I had a new instruction once from a client, a new client, from somebody who runs a marketing agency, and I asked them why they came to me, and they were like, well, the marketing that you're doing is what we should be doing, and what they get all their clients to do, but they don't necessarily do it all do the same thing themselves. And she said, you were the first person that I thought of. And amongst all of the people that she knows, including clients and that kind of thing, I was the first person that she thought of. And that's where you need to be as a consultant solicitor. You're just starting out. You need to be building yourself that brand. I hate the phrase personal brand. I don't like all that kind of jargon. It's just me. I'm not doing it for that. But you need to build that brand awareness so that people that you know and their network and their contacts are seeing you very regularly and going, oh, right, okay, well, I need a lawyer. Maybe I'll speak to that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so important, isn't it? So I think we probably ought to wind up now, because we have been talking for nearly half an hour. But what's
I've been talking for nearly half an hour.
Yes.
You've said
I
about
was
10
being
words.
kind. I was being kind.
I told you I can talk for England, honestly.
Oh, I know. Okay, so what about if somebody is thinking about making that step into becoming a self-employed lawyer, going alone, thinking, oh my goodness, they never taught me marketing at law school. I don't know really what I've got to do next. What would be your first three things? What's your kind of top tips for what people should do next?
So if somebody is currently employed and thinking about it, I would say the first thing is just do it. Take the leap. Don't worry. It will follow. Right. That's the first thing I would say. And just as an offer out, if anyone is kind of thinking, contemplating it, give me a call and we'll have a chat about it. I don't mind spending an hour and having a chat. Don't make any charges for it. I don't have a cost to sell or anything like that. Don't worry. So your first thing I would say is kind of just do it. Obviously, when you're starting kind of any business, you need to start from the people that you know. So I'd be making a list of all the people that I knew. And again, most lawyers are contractually forbidden from pursuing existing clients or taking existing clients. Some are lucky and they are allowed to approach clients or take files across, but most people won't be. So you can't go to your clients. So you need to then go to who's your professional network. So for me, for instance, referrers were like accountants, maybe financial advisors and other professionals. So it's like, okay, who do I know? LinkedIn's really good for that because it kind of makes a log of your Rolodex of who do I know. And then I would first of all start making contact with them as you would do normally in any kind of BD environment, go for coffee and that kind of thing. These days, because you can do Zoom calls and all that, it means it's even cheaper because you don't have to pretend to buy their coffee when you think, oh, I've got no income this month. You can just go, should we do it by Zoom and make yourself an instant. So I would do that, and then, but very quickly, I would, if I was a consultant, I would try and see how I could cost effectively get a website built and cost effectively get content added on to that website as quickly as possible. Because I just know that is the way forward. Now, what will generally happen is that they will try and do it themselves. So they'll spend 6 months and they'll maybe write 1 or 2 articles in a month if they're lucky. Even though they've got plenty of time, they'll write some articles and put it on, and it won't generate anything. And then people have this perception that, well, websites don't really work. They're just that shop front. You need to have one, but it doesn't generate work. And that's just a myth. And it works, but you just need to have the right website and the right content on there. So what I would do very quickly is try and say, well, okay, can I afford 150 quid a month to have some help with this website? And I would, and they can, right, but they might not want to, but they can afford £150 a month, because as lawyers, we know, generally speaking, their average fee is maybe going to be £600 for a new instruction, or 700, 800, or 1,000, or whatever the job that they do. And so spending £150 a month, if that was to get them one instruction, then it'd be the best return on investment. And so that's how I would have to, I would recommend consultants, solicitors look at it going, well, actually, I'm going to invest this £150 a month, or £200 or £300 a month, or whatever you can afford. But let's say it's £100 a month, £150 a month. Get an article or 2 articles drafted professionally, put on the website, answering key questions that are actually going to generate referrals in, and do that for a sort of, try it 6 months, give that a try. That's what I would say as a sort of a minimum period. And I'm pretty confident, although I know you can't give any kind of guarantees in life, but I'd be pretty confident that they'll have their money back and more, and be generating a decent amount of revenue from just doing that.
Yeah, well, obviously I agree with that, absolutely, because when you are starting out your own business, there is so much to do. I run my own business, I have a website, and I barely have time to update it and put a copy on it, because I'm so busy doing everything else and client work, and I know exactly what I'm doing. So I can't imagine somebody who's never had a background in marketing before. It just doesn't make any sense why you would try and take that on yourself with all the other things you've got to do as well. So yeah, it's an absolute no-brainer for sure.
Yeah,
okay,
I think so. And what I do know is that, again, as a new consultant, with going from having income to having no income potentially, and looking and go, well, where's the work going to come from? You would be there, and lawyers being naturally conservative and adverse to kind of, risk generally. People will look at it and go, well, is there a way that I can not spend that money right now? And so they'll do it themselves. And that's a good start, is doing it themselves, but it does mean that you've got to know how to write in a different way, know what to write, you have access to, variety of different software and things like that, from like SEO, and what to write and what word is better to put there in the title, and all these kind of things that they just won't have access to. And that's what gets you, your articles on first page.
Absolutely. So I actually have a free downloadable resource that I'm offering to my audience at the moment. It's an 11-page guide, and it's massive. Okay, so it's an SEO optimized template for lawyers to use to write their own content. So you are very welcome to check it out and download it. So just DM me if you would like any information on how to do that. It's very easy. And you will understand exactly what goes into creating an SEO optimized legal blog piece, because there is a lot to it. There's a lot to do. And that's why when I do offer my services, it's a done for you thing. Okay. You don't have to come up with the topics. It's no back and forth. As you know, Stephen, when I work with you, I say, shall I write about this? And then you say, off you go. And then I do it and you go, thanks very much. And it's done. It's literally, you don't have to put any effort in, do you?
No, and actually, without blowing smoke up your backside too much, as I say, I've had lawyers in the past, from paralegals, trainees, up to senior partner kind of level, and everyone in between, writing articles. And invariably, as the person that was in charge of running the website, I'd always have to make changes to them. They were accurate, legally accurate. Although some trainees maybe not so legally accurate, but mostly legally accurate, but they just weren't written very well. I thought, hand on heart, I thought, going to a copywriter and getting them to write legal blogs, that I would be having to edit and change because the law wouldn't be right. I look at it and go, no, that's not quite right, because there's a complex area of law that you're writing about. That's not quite right. That's not quite right. And I think out of what do you reckon you've written for me now? About 100 articles, probably, maybe more.
Probably,
than that,
at least, yeah.
I think I've changed one around ever so slightly. I think that's about it. So in terms of it being done for you, yeah, I can pretty much, you upload to the site, I review it and go, yeah, that looks good, and then click post, and that's the extent of my work. rather than kind of going, oh crikey, well, I mean, it reads nice, but that's just wrong law. Like, because I obviously couldn't do that. So, and that was a concern of mine. I thought that, you know, I was going to spend ages trying to, but actually, because you are not just writing it, but you're researching, getting the content right as well. I think it's an absolute no-brainer for people to get you on board.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen. That was blowing a lot of smoke, but I never mind that, to be fair.
So, yeah, you still took it, didn't you?
Happy days. I did. Yeah, I absolutely did. Let's be real. This is what this is all about. So we've had a couple of comments in the chat. We'll just very briefly talk about them before we hop off. So we've had a lovely message from Annette, who is on a train in Italy. So that's very cosmopolitan. She's a lawyer turned digital marketer from the US and founded Law Quill. So she's saying we're having a very interesting chat so far. And she tells lawyers what we're saying all day long. Learning how to write for SEO and online is not the same as writing a legal brief. So thank you for your comment. That's very nice to hear. And Zara's popped on just to say, yes, please, to the SEO template. So I will get that sent over to you. No problem at all. So Stephen has very kindly offered to have a chat with anybody that is looking to make that big leap and just do it. You probably won't get away with an hour talking to him, to be fair, but you know, you'll probably get something out of it. So
you'll definitely get gold out of it, but it will take some time.
Oh, you will. Yes, absolutely. Gold. Sift through all the chat. Thank you, Stephen, for coming on today. It's been a pleasure as always. And thank you to our listeners. And if you need anything, just get in touch with us. You know where we are. All right. Catch you later. Bye.
Thanks very much.